and I couldn't remember the word triangle. It was so bad. Just like things like that happened all the time. Hello my friends. Welcome if you are new here. If you have been here before, welcome back. I am so glad to have you. If you are new, hit that subscribe button and make sure you have the channel notifications turned on so you don't miss a single video. I promise you do not want to miss my videos. They are so fun. At least I think they're pretty fun. I make mommy and lifestyle videos with chronic illness. I have several chronic illnesses I'm going to tell you all about today. So if you want to hear more, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button because I want to know what kind of videos you guys want to watch. I'm at the moment new to this YouTube, and so I would love to know whether you like this or not, and please leave me a comment because I would love to hear from you, get to know you better. Tell me if you have any chronic illnesses or what you suffer from and how you have found peace. So get comfy because the story could be long, we'll see. I'll probably forget something, by the way, so if I need to, I might have to make a follow-up video with everything I missed. We'll see. So this story starts out 3 years ago. It's 2019 if you're watching this in the future. So it's 2016, my husband and I got married, everything was so beautiful, we went on our honeymoon, life was perfect, and the last day of our honeymoon we both got food poisoning. 24 hours later, my husband is feeling great, and I was still sick. Weeks go by, I'm still sick, and months go by, I was still sick. I was getting really bloated, which is super fun right after you get married. Bloating and stomach pain, and I wasn't throwing up or anything, but I just always felt kind of sick. So I went to the doctor and they said, oh, you probably have a stomach ulcer. I also, side note, I was getting these weird burps, like I would burp for 6 hours straight and I couldn't stop. Super weird. Anyways, I went to the doctor, they said, oh, you have a stomach ulcer or gastritis, which is just inflammation of the stomach. And so they put me on an antacid for 3 months, and it made it worse. So after 3 months of that, I stuck with it and I felt worse. At this point, I had graduated college. We were living in Idaho at the time when we moved back to our home state, and things just kept getting worse. So I was student teaching at the time, and it was kind of a nightmare. By the way, I graduated in math education, so I was student teaching at a high school in math, and I was loving it, but I was still so sick at the same time. So I decided to go to a GI specialist, and he did a stomach scope, and he just found that I was lactose intolerant, which told us basically nothing, because I wasn't eating lactose at the time, and getting off dairy didn't help my problems. I mean, it helped a tiny bit maybe, but not that much. So that did not help very much. He put me on the low FODMAP diet, and that did give me a bit of a difference. I felt significantly better for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then it's like my body got used to it and started rejecting those foods as well. So at that time, I also started to get a lot of fatigue and muscle aches, like especially my legs. They would just, I don't know how to explain it except like aching, kind of a similar feeling to when you get a cold and you just feel kind of achy, that kind of feeling, but more intense, where it was almost painful, like a achy pain. And I was teaching school at the time. I had gotten a job at this point. I was teaching high school, and I know I look like I should be in high school, but I was a high school teacher. I'm 24, by the way. I know I look like I should be 16. I'm not 16. Anyways, so where was I? Right, so I was getting muscle aches. And we thought, okay, this GI stuff's not really working. We had tried a few things with them. We did a colonoscopy, we did a HIDA scan, we did a CT scan. Basically everything just came back normal. So we ended up actually going to an OBGYN because I was pretty sure I had endometriosis because I'd always had extremely painful periods my whole life, and they just kept getting worse and worse. So I went to my OBGYN. He did a laparoscopic surgery. He found endometriosis endometrium tissue, is that what it's called? I don't know. He found endometriosis in there. So he got rid of it and said there was also a couple ovarian cysts and evidence that cysts had ruptured in the past. So after I finished that surgery, oh, by the way, the reason we thought that endometriosis could be the problem is because sometimes it can grow on the intestines. So it hadn't grown on my intestines, so we're pretty sure it wouldn't help my stomach problems, but and it didn't, of course. So after that surgery, the one thing I was excited for is at least I would now not have super painful periods, right? Well, my next period came and it was just as painful. The only difference was instead of being pain everywhere, I just had pain in one specific spot on my left side. So I went back to the doctor because I was in excruciating pain, and he said I had ruptured another ovarian cyst, and a little bit after that we just ended up getting diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is pretty common. Typically though, the markers are high testosterone. I don't have high testosterone. I have high, I want to say it's TSH, and don't quote me on that. Whatever the hormone is that lowers testosterone, that was high, but my testosterone was normal. So normally in PCOS, testosterone is high, and the hormone that lowers testosterone is low, therefore testosterone is high, if that makes sense. So mine was opposite, which was a little weird. And then also, usually have insulin resistance and are can be extremely overweight. And I've never really struggled with my weight. I'm kind of always average. Like, I'm not super skinny, but I'm not overweight either. So it was a little weird that I had regular periods. That's the other marker, is irregular periods. My periods were long. They were like 35, 36 days, but they came always on the dot. So anyways, I should talk about that in a whole other video, but I have kind of a weird form of PCOS. I had a reproductive specialist tell me that I just have an ovulation disorder and I'm just not ovulating, and instead I develop a cyst, which ruptures when my period starts, even though technically it's not a period if you don't ovulate. I don't know, whatever. So anyways, that was totally like a side thing, supposedly unrelated to the rest of what was going on. So meanwhile, I was still having a lot of stomach pain. I was still really fatigued. That was getting super, super bad. I was having a hard time getting out of bed every day. I was getting really dizzy. I was having brain fog. I remember specifically one time I was teaching math and I drew a triangle on the board and I couldn't remember the word triangle. It was so bad. Just like things like that happened all the time where the memories weren't gone, but I just couldn't find them. I couldn't find the words that I needed. So we kind of went down the natural path after that, and I went to more of a homeopathic doctor, and he put me on a bunch of supplements, and at the same time I had just gone to my GI doctor, and he tested me for SIBO, a small intestine bacteria overgrowth, and that came back positive. So that's an overgrowth of bacteria, could be good, could be bad bacteria, in the small intestine, and it can cause all the problems I was having with my stomach, but it doesn't cause any of the fatigue or the muscle aches or any of those problems. So we were still kind of confused, but we thought at least we can treat the SIBO. So they told me they'd put me on antibiotics, but I was going to a naturopath at the same time and thought, you know what, I'm gonna go this route first, and if it doesn't work, then I'll try antibiotics. So I was put on a super strict diet. I was seriously eating chicken, squash, carrots, olive oil, turkey, nuts. Like, I'm not kidding, that was about the gist of my diet, and pretty much everything else was off limits. So I was eating basically nothing. I actually started gaining a little weight, which was weird. I think I was eating a lot of fat, maybe because I just was so hungry all the time, so I was eating a lot of nuts and olive oil. My weight ended up kind of evening out after I got into the diet a little bit, but I was kind of miserable. Wasn't eating anything. He also had me go through ultraviolet blood irradiation treatment. They take my blood out, they zap it with UV rays, and then they send it back in. Honestly, I don't really know much about it. I just was trying everything I could try, and that was a disaster. It made me so sick. I had to take off a whole week of school, of teaching school, while I went through these treatments because I was so sick. I could not get up. I couldn't get out of bed after them. They told me they'd make me feel really good, and they made me feel really terrible, so that was so awful. And they put me on 9 supplements that I took 3 times a day, which was crazy. And I did that for about 3 or 4 months and nothing changed. I got retested for my SIBO. It actually gone up. It didn't help anything. I was just miserable with what I was eating, and it was just so bad. So I cut ties with that place, and I went back to my regular doctor. I got an antibiotic. It did nothing again. So we tried another antibiotic, nothing. And by the way, these antibiotics are a special kind that are supposed to stay in your digestive system. So they're super expensive, like $1,200 for a week's supply. So ridiculous. My insurance paid for some of it, but it was so bad. So I tried a couple of those. They probably did a lot more harm than good. They did nothing. And I don't even know where I went from there. Oh, I went to a neurologist because we thought, okay, well, I'm having brain fog and fatigue, so let's try that route. Went to a neurologist, got tested for MS, and I don't know what else they tested more. They tested my muscles, they did an MRI of my brain. Everything came back normal. So basically, to this point, this has been like a 1.5 years of so many doctor bills, you guys. I have to go through sometime and tell you how much I paid in doctor bills. It was ridiculous. Anyways, all this time, the only test that came back positive was the SIBO test, and the treatments weren't working. So I was so frustrated. I ended up quitting my job. I had 4 weeks left of the school year until summer vacation, and I couldn't do it. I was so sick. I could not do 4 more weeks of school. So I quit, and we moved in with my in-laws. It was just a whole thing. We were just struggling big time. I ended up being diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which was basically my doctor saying, we don't know what's wrong, but it fits the bill. IBS, SIBO, chronic fatigue syndrome, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis. I ended up getting really severe depression at this time and anxiety. What am I missing? I did have gallbladder issues, but not enough to take my gallbladder out. It was a whole thing. So I ended up just feeling really strongly. It was kind of a personal revelation that I just needed to stop going to doctors. So I stopped going to doctors about 1.5 years in, and I ended up going to a counselor. I tried more just healing my brain because it got really messed up at this point. I was so depressed and it was super bad. So I went to a counselor, and that did seem to help me. I took little jobs. I nannied. I tutored a little bit of math. Just small things I could do. And we decided to move on and get pregnant, have a baby, because although I thought it would be tough to have a baby, I just knew I'd live with this forever. So I thought, it's either now or later. I don't want to never have kids, so I'm either going to be in pain with a newborn now or in pain with a newborn later. So let's do it now, because I'd healed my brain a little bit, my mental health, I should say. So I got pregnant pretty quickly, actually, because I was eating basically nothing. I was eating like no carbs. I guess I was eating carbs. I was eating like some vegetables, but I was eating no starches, no grains, no sugar, I was eating nothing, which helped me ovulate. I went 3 months without getting a cyst, and I got pregnant the 3rd month, and I just had my endometriosis surgery in the last year. And so I got pregnant, and unfortunately I lost that baby. We had a miscarriage 7 weeks later, and that was so sad. It was like this light at the end of the tunnel that just got taken away from me again. So that was awful. 6 months later, and my cyst came back after that. Didn't matter what I ate, kept getting a cyst every month, which means I wasn't ovulating. It was beautiful. No, it wasn't. So then we got on Clomid, which is an ovulation drug, and I didn't get cysts when I was on Clomid, so I got pregnant the 3rd month of that, and that is my current baby, my Clomid baby. So I was pregnant and I was so tired. It was just like my normal stuff plus being pregnant, so I was exhausted all the time. I had like started a business, but couldn't even do it because I was so tired. I was doing it on my own time and I couldn't do it. So I went through my pregnancy. 1st trimester was rough. 2nd trimester, of course, got a little bit better. I actually felt like I had more energy while I was pregnant in that 2nd trimester than I had previously. And in that 2nd trimester, my husband and I went on a trip with my husband's aunt and uncle. And she has had a lot of health problems, and we talked before about different things. She's celiac, and she told me some of the problems she had, but I felt like she always understood me, but I thought there's no, you know, we didn't have the same thing, but we understood each other because I had stomach problems and other issues as well. Anyways, we went with her, and she was telling us about these socks she wears. She's like, yeah, I wear these compression socks every day. They're like $100 a pair, but they take my pain away. They make me feel so much better. I eat a lot of salt. She was just telling us these different things she does. And anyways, we got home from that trip, and which, by the way, don't think that I'm like a traveler. It was do a few things and then go rest, and then do a few more things and then go rest, you know. If you have chronic illnesses, you know, traveling is not fun with chronic illness. Anyways, so we came home and my husband said, you know, you should try some of those socks. And I was like, yeah, we've tried everything. So many people have said, oh, this supplement changed my life. Oh, this whatever it is changed my life. None of it ever worked for me. So I was so doubtful, but I ended up just trying some just like exercise compression socks. And I put them on one day and thought, whatever, this isn't gonna work. And I cleaned the house, and I thought, you know, I need to go to the grocery store. So I went to the grocery store, and then I thought, you know what, I should go on a walk. And I went on a walk. You guys, cleaning the house, going to the grocery store, and a walk all on the same day, that did not happen for me. I'm not kidding. Like, I was so sick, I could not do those 3 things in the same day. I would do my best to keep my house clean, and that was like the extent of my energy for the day usually. So the fact that I did all of those things and I still had energy, I felt like I could run a marathon. I felt amazing. So my husband came home from work, I told him everything that happened, and he was so excited. He's like, oh my gosh, we found the answer. But I still thought, no, there's no way, like, this just has to be a good day, right? It just has to be. There's no way we found the answer after all this time. So the next day, same thing happens. I have so much energy. 3rd day, I didn't wear the socks, and I got sick again, and I couldn't get out of bed, and I was really, really sick. So I went to the, what's it called? The pharmacy. I went to the pharmacy and got some medical compression socks, and I put them on, and they were even better, and I had so much energy, and I was super pregnant, and I was going to the gym. I went to the gym the day I had my baby. So I was crazy. I was just doing everything, and I went through the nesting phase of pregnancy, and I was cleaning everything, and I just had so much energy, and I felt amazing. So I posted on my Instagram account, which, by the way, you should go follow, Aimee_Esther. That's kind of where I started. I have like a little blog over there, and I posted on there that I've been wearing these compression socks and I felt so good in them. And someone commented and said, hey, this sounds like POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And I was like, okay, I've heard of POTS, but I'd kind of read about it, and that, you know, I'd heard that they pass out all the time, and like that's really the marker that I'd always heard, is you pass out a lot. And I'd never passed out. I mean, I got dizzy when I stood up, but I never felt like I was gonna pass out. So I ended up looking at all the articles she sent me, and it sounded like me to a T. And it talked about how a bunch of other problems could be in there. So basically, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, POTS, is my blood was not circulating. So when I stand, everyone's blood goes to their feet by gravity, right? But most people, their veins constrict and the blood goes back up and everything is great. But in POTS, the veins don't constrict the same and the blood pools at the feet instead of circulating. So the only marker for POTS, the only way to tell that you have it, is there you have a tilt table test or just a heart rate test. You test your heart rate when you're laying down and it's normal, and so I did that. Mine was about 80 beats per minute, which is a little higher than most people, but I was pregnant, so it was normal. And then I stood up, and within a minute my heart rate shot up to 150 beats per minute, and it stayed up there for a little bit, didn't go back down and regularize. And so the marker for POTS is if you stand and your heart rate goes up more than 30 beats per minute within 10 minutes. And mine was within, 1 or 2 minutes. It went up to 150 beats per minute, so definitely past that mark. Called my doctor, I said, I have POTS. And he's like, oh yeah, I know POTS. And kind of frustrating, like, how could you not say this before? But anyways, so I basically self-diagnosed myself with POTS. I did talk to my doctor about it, and I got a prescription for some compression socks. Did you know you can get a prescription for socks? It's a real thing. The certain tightness. I did find a website where you don't have to have a prescription for the strongest ones, so go to my Instagram, send me a direct message, and I'll tell you where that website is. But anyway, so I started treating my POTS, and it actually worked. For the first time ever, a treatment actually worked. My stomach issues are still there, but I went to a POTS conference and I learned that a lot of people with POTS have SIBO, the small intestine bacterial overgrowth that I have, and that it's usually not a bacteria, that it's something else, and I can't quite remember what it is, but it's not a bacteria. So basically treating with antibiotics doesn't work with this, at least the type that I have. There is a type that antibiotics will work, but mine does not. So that was interesting to find out. But I found a bunch of things that helped me, and I'll just share another video about how I treat my POTS, because there's a lot. I could just go into a whole big long detail on that. Anyway, so I started treating it. I felt amazing. I had my baby. I felt amazing after having a baby. 9 months pregnant and 2 days after having a baby, I felt better than I did a year ago from now. I guess I was pregnant 2 years ago from now. It was crazy. It was so crazy. And I have been treating POTS and I still have a few other things. I still have the PCOS problems. I still have endometriosis. I still get a lot of migraines, chronic migraines. I still have my SIBO. That sounds like a lot, but seriously, you guys, even with all of that, I feel amazing. I feel like I could run the world. I have been so much more productive. I wanted to start a YouTube channel so many times, but my POTS kept getting to me, my depression kept getting to me, my anxiety kept getting to me. It was like a combination of mental health wasn't there to do it, and physical health wasn't there to do it. And now I just feel so good. So I just want to share with all of you who are going through a similar situation, whether you have POTS or you have some other chronic illness, or you just have, I shouldn't say just, you have depression, you have anxiety, maybe you're just a mom who is struggling with being a mom. I don't know. Whatever your struggle is, I just want to start this channel to share with you my story and to share with you all the tips and tricks I have to being happy and healthy with these struggles in life, because we can't get rid of these struggles. They're going to be with us forever. My POTS will be with me forever, and I've gotten to a point where I'm so grateful for it. I love that I have POTS. Do you think anyone in the world has ever said that? I love my POTS, because when I was undiagnosed, it was so much harder just not knowing, just going to doctors and feeling like I was making it up. Is this in my brain? Am I really just lactose intolerant and nothing else is wrong? And maybe I just can't keep on these diets. Maybe I just maybe I'm just lazy. Maybe those are the thoughts that were going through my head because I didn't know what was wrong with me, and all my blood work came back normal. Everything came back normal because it wasn't a problem with anything except my blood circulating. And of course that caused problems with my stomach that will be lasting forever. It probably caused problems for my headaches, and maybe my reproductive system. I don't know. It probably caused problems everywhere. But I'm so grateful for it because it's taught me so much. I'm grateful for that time when I was so sick. And I'm grateful that I get to start this YouTube channel and to share my story with you guys. So sorry, that was like a huge long story plus a huge long closing remark. So if you made it to the end, congratulations. If you did make it to the end, give it a thumbs up. I want to know who made it to the end of this video. Please go follow me on Instagram, Aimee_Esther, and please subscribe, you guys. I'm so new to this, so I need some new subscribers, and I really want to get to know you guys, so leave me a comment as well. Tell me your name, tell me where you're from, tell me what chronic illness you have, or what mental illness you have, or tell me just what you're struggling with, and we're gonna go through this journey together. So thank you for being here, and I will see you on my next video.